Hi folks, and welcome to the More Than Your Labels podcast, where I chat to everybody and anybody who has a neurodiverse condition and those who haven't, and how it either hinders them or helps them. It's their story, their way, warts and all. So let's ditch any label that any of us have been given, and let's stand loud and proud as we are more than any label. So let's get in more onto the conversation. More Than Your Labels Facebook group, where we talk about mindset, procrastination, where we celebrate all our wins, big and small. See you on the other side, folks. So hi folks, today I'm speaking with Karen, someone with the same name, about her journey with ADHD, and she speaks from the heart about her struggles and how she's dealing with it because she is newly diagnosed to this. Hello everybody, I'm with Karen today and she's going to tell me her story. So hello Karen, thanks for joining us today. How are you?
You're very welcome, Karen. Very good name, I have to say.
Hey, there's lots of us out there. Hurrah!
How are you doing?
So take
you
it away.
okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. So do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey then?
So, where do you want me to begin? How far back? I mean,
Wherever you feel comfortable.
right, okay. Well, last year, at the ripe young age of 47, I was diagnosed autistic. And as many people can imagine, that it turned my world upside down, but in a good way. It was wonderfully validating and liberating, and it was logical and it made sense, which of course to an autistic mind, yeah, it is what it is. And
It's good.
yeah, and that was great. And of course, then sort of being within the neurodiversity world, I start going down other paths, the researcher I am. And ADHD starts coming to the fore. I'm like, oh, this feels a bit resonant. And I started delving, and then
Guess. I was going to say, guess what? Snap!
Brilliant. And yeah, so I started delving and not hyper focusing at this point, and but then lockdown happened, and being a photographer, all my work stopped because I photograph people and people gathering. Majorly, that's what I was doing anyway. So it gave me a lot of time. And I'm a very introspective human being anyway. So it heightened everything, and I started to notice that the ADHD traits were definitely being amplified by lack of external noise. And I just started going down the rabbit hole even more, to the point where I was like, yeah, I'm absolutely ADHD, but I don't need a diagnosis. What I actually need is practical help and support to help me get out of this hole.
Yeah.
And that's where the journey with grief began. So that was probably about 4 months ago. I very quickly found a coach with and I'm still with her, Janine Harris at ADHD Wise, little plug there. And
why not?
she is just really helping me to transform my life. And I'm now at the point, there's still grief there. It hasn't really gone away. It's changing, but I'm still in grief mode. I'm going through all the 5 stages of grief, and I'm now at the point of awaiting. It was time, and spoke to my GP, who was happy to refer me for assessment for diagnosis. And so I'm on the verge of more than likely being diagnosed in the next few weeks. So yeah, this journey it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Your story is similar to mine. I had a late diagnosis at 36 when I decided I'm going to university. So
Wow.
that's where my journey started, which is almost 10 years ago now. So I think I'm coming to the end of it, and I'm now accepting who I am. Labels, no, I don't want them, but they're part of me. It's the jigsaw that makes me me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
people need to see me first rather than the diagnosis. And society needs to see me first as well. So hence that's why I started this little chat podcasty thing.
Yes.
Just to raise awareness.
Yeah,
That
it's really good you're doing
there's
this,
people out there,
Go on.
and we all need help. And we all need help. We're all different.
Mhm.
But there's lots of things out there for children, but hardly anything that I've found for adults.
That's right. And yeah, and for women as well, because of how the traits can manifest so very differently in girls and women, which is
Yeah,
why so many more of us get missed on
yeah,
on the journey of life. And it's the same within the autistic world as well. But it's again, because we don't tend to demonstrate the stereotypical
yeah.
tendencies and traits that are associated with boys, it's not identified. And there's also
Exactly.
and there's also the aspect, of course, that women, we as girls, we are intrinsically, it's in our DNA to learn to fit in and blend into society.
Yeah,
Whereas boys actually, boys need to demonstrate and show themselves to attract the females. I mean,
yeah,
I'm going
yeah,
back to days of yore, as it were, not days of uh, sexuality, fluidity, and all
yeah,
of that,
yeah.
but essentially that's what it's all about. So there's all this inbuilt, I wouldn't say social conditioning, but that also does play a part as well.
Yeah, yeah. Most definitely.
So we learn to mask. So the girl, this is a generalization, because there are boys and men who get missed along the way as well. Don't get me wrong, but generally speaking, because girls and women have learned to mask, it's a skill that's innate anyway, to blend in and fit in and all of that.
Yeah, yeah.
All these things get hidden even more.
Most definitely, most definitely. I was the type of person that was the daydreamer.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just zone out and daydream. But whenever this in a classroom scenario, but whenever anyone asked me a question, I'd give them the answer. So that's how I got bypassed. But I
Right.
was just on a different planet than everybody else because they were boring me, basically.
I've got
Like, you know,
my. Go on.
I was just in my own little world, just like, leave me. It's lovely here. Don't upset me, basically.
Yeah, I've got my school reports. So I ended up going to 4 schools, 2 primary and 2 secondary. And at my second secondary, which was boarding school, I've got my reports for the 3 years that I was there, and it's all there. It's all there in the reports. But one thing, clearly she's clever. She just needs to learn to apply herself, is one of the common
Yeah,
the common thread, and that's a very classic one that many of us on this ADHD journey will be able to recognize. But one that I do remember from a chemistry teacher, he wrote something like, she'd actually be quite good if she wasn't asleep in class. She didn't fall asleep. I was so bored by chemistry. But in hindsight as well, I think there's potentially some sensory overstimulation going on there.
Yeah,
All the
yeah,
smells in the chemistry lab.
yeah.
I'm wondering if that had anything to do with it now, knowing about all my neurodiversity.
Yeah,
So
could be,
yeah,
could
so that's
be. Mm.
really saying that though put me in the music block, and I could that was the space where I could hyper focus and be in there for hours. That was my place, the music building. Yeah.
My
So
place was the drama hut. Just leave me there.
well, that's it. It's
Mm,
the creative
yeah,
thread, isn't
yeah,
it? It's this
yeah.
again, very classic, very common thread, isn't it? That
Mm,
ADHDs tend to be incredibly creative people, not just sort of visual art creative or performing arts, but just creative in thinking as well.
mm, mm.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, what plans have you got for the future then?
Well, plans for the future. Um, with us now, where we are today, being the 5th of November 2020, we've just entered another phase of lockdown, um, which actually is a bit of a blessing for me because my photography business has been one of the businesses that has been impacted a great deal by this current situation. It's afforded me the opportunity to actually make some decisions about where I really want to go with my life, and that's actually into well-being. And
Mm,
I've been on my own focused personal development journey since I think it was about 2009. It might have been a bit earlier. Whenever it was, my
yeah.
brother introduced me to the documentary film The Secret. That's when it all started for me.
Mm,
It might have been a bit earlier. See if I can find out actually. Um, and thus began my journey on the self development within that world, and it just opened up so much for me. And then um, I've always had issues with my weight over the years. It had been my one thing, and I now know it's because I was a sugar addict. Which stemmed from other things, obviously.
mm.
But that actually addiction also ties in with the ADHD.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there are very strong, I think it's about a person with ADHD is 40% more likely to develop an addiction, which is completely understandable because of the need for dopamine and noradrenaline.
Mm.
Or I use noradrenaline because that's easier to say than
Yeah, than all the others.
norepinephrine.
Yeah.
Norepinephrine, there we go. But it's noradrenaline. It's the
Whee!
same thing. It's
Mm.
adrenaline for the brain, noradrenaline. So because we have that extra need for it, it's absolutely no wonder that so many people with ADHD do develop addictions. I'm actually in a recovery program myself, and I recently put a post out saying anyone here with ADHD or any other conditions on the spectrum would be interested in a spectrum focused meeting. And the response blew me away, actually. There's
Wow.
so many
Yeah.
people, predominantly ADHD.
Well,
Yep, it's just amazing. So, yes, so personal development. I'm not ADHD at all, going off in a tangent, right? So,
yeah, just like I do. Because I was going, "Oh, shopping list. Oh, this and that." It's when people talk to
oh,
me at work because I'm
Oh,
not focused at work at all. I'm like, your mouth's moving, it's not going in. I'm shopping this. What am I gonna do with the house? Yeah, okay. So I'm in the hospital. Oh, you want me to clean that in the hospital? Okay.
yeah,
Mm,
quite. So,
well, not that in me cage. I'll go and do something else instead. It will take me 4 hours. Anyway, off I go.
so I've managed to find my way back while you've been doing that. So thank you for that little interlude. That helps me
Oh, you're
find my
welcome.
way back to where I was.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. So where I was talking about my problems with food and sugar addiction, and so I always had a weight issue. And then come 2012, the year of my 40th birthday, actually Christmas Day 2012, I had a heart attack,
Oh.
and that changed everything. I had for about 6 months prior started on a nutrition journey and becoming my own
Mm,
detective, and had started losing weight, and then the heart attack happened, and then everything changed, and I got down to a really good weight. I got really fit over the course of the next 7 months, and then I unfortunately ended up in a toxic relationship, which after 2 years on and off, I managed to break away from and
mm,
that's when I really started my journey of healing from the inside out, and the amount of work I've done from 2015 and up until this point on the emotional side of things. My nutrition is now, I'm very happy where I am with my nutrition. I eat a
good,
low carb
good.
lifestyle, and I actually also believe that being low carb has helped my brain function. It's my dysthymia depression that I used to have disappeared, because I think that was
Mm,
being caused by inflammatory foods in my system, which causes fogginess and fuzziness in the brain. Um, but yeah, lots of personal development and lots of learning around well-being and meditation and sleep and nutrition. I've just been immersed in the well-being world for a long, long time, and it's now getting to the point that I know it absolutely lights me up, and
mm,
I'm
mm,
now at the point where um I want to help other people to help them. I
mm.
want to help other people who want to help themselves. That's what I really want to do.
Oh,
Yeah,
fabulous,
and
fabulous.
it looks like, which has been my initial idea, but I'm just really going to go with the flow. But I think
Mm,
my focus is going to be within the neurodiverse community because of our extra struggles with executive function. So
mm,
people who want to improve their well-being but struggle more than most because executive function difficulties is an extra spanner in the works. So
it sure is.
yeah. So I'm looking at developing something around accountability and helping people create new healthy habits for themselves.
Oh, that sounds absolutely delicious.
Doesn't it? It really
It
excites
does.
me.
I'm like, oh, you can help me do that as well, and you can help me.
Well, if you want to come and sort of be
Mm.
a guinea pig for me and help me formulate something, gladly. Um, gladly, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's all exciting.
Isn't it? It really is. It really is. And it's really good timing, like I say, with lockdown, because I've
Yeah,
decided to just give myself 4 weeks off of photography, because there's nothing doing there.
yeah.
Anyway, everything I love to photograph has gone for the time being. So I might as well take this opportunity to, like, in inverted commas, have a holiday and
Mm.
focus on this new path that I want to take. So watch this space, folks.
Oh. So in a former life, well, it's only recently, I've only just qualified as a celebrant.
Oh, fantastic. How
So
wonderful.
yeah, a dyslexic celebrant, but hey, so the website's out there, I'm out there, locked down.
Yeah.
Locked down again. So I went, right, okay, that can be bubbling away while I do something else.
Mm.
So this the podcast came about, and then there's other things that I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go for it because I used to sit on the fence and go, I can't do that. I'm not doing that.
You
And
only
now I
live
just don't
once, right?
exactly, and I don't care now. I'm just going to do it, make a fool of myself. Hey ho, who cares?
Well,
I'm just
my
going to go
brother.
for it.
That's right, Karen. My brother said to me many years ago, and it's always stayed with me. He said, "You never know if you don't give it a go.
Exactly,
You'll
exactly.
never know." But yeah, we'll have to talk about you being a celebrant because when all
Mm.
that comes back to being, obviously, with me photographing celebrations,
Mm.
who knows?
See, another finger in the pie. Woohoo! Yeah, I've just got me brave big girl pants on, and I don't give a monkeys now because life's too short,
No,
and I'm like,
absolutely.
I'm I shouldn't say this out loud, but I'm in a lovely job at the minute, she says, shaking her head. And I don't wanna be there. Oops, and if they're listening, sorry, love you. I think they know that as well, but anyway, I've been off a few times, okay, or rather a lot. You know, when you just think you just don't gel there?
Right.
But anyway, that's my journey, but my exit journey, doing this and other things. And I've set
Yeah.
myself a goal, and that's it. I'm gonna just do it.
I'm impressed that you've managed to set yourself a goal. That's something that
Mm,
has been a struggle for me over the years, and of course now I understand why. Because
mm,
it's very difficult to see the wood for the trees. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, wishing you much success on your new journey. It really is. It's for quite a few people I'm seeing sort of rebirthing themselves into and taking
Mm.
this opportunity, sort of downtime, as it were, to make the most of it.
Well, we've just gotta grab the bull by the horns and just make our own way, which we have done throughout our lives, but make it more focused on us and what we want to do. And if people don't like it, it's called tough, isn't it?
Well,
Basically.
yeah. I mean, if it's one thing if people can give you constructive feedback
Oh,
or
yeah.
they have genuine concerns because they know you well. That's one thing. Obviously, we have to potentially deal if we have any ODD or RSD and
Mm.
whatever any other letters we've got attached to everything going on with us.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
yeah, ASD, ADHD, ODD, RSD. I mean,
XYZ,
oh,
all
you
this.
know,
Yeah.
ABC, ZZZ. It's just it does feel a little bit ridiculous to be honest, but I also know that it's also very necessary. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
Um, it's just where does it end? That's kind of what I feel about all of that. You know, it's just like, oh, another thing and another thing and
Yeah.
another thing, really? But it is what it is. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
It's the jigsaw that makes me, me, and you, and
Yeah.
people just need to cut the palaver and just see us as people, basically.
I
But
think
they
the
don't.
most important
Quirks and all.
yeah, I think actually what's more important than what other people see is how we view ourselves and how we learn
Yeah,
to
yeah,
accept ourselves
yeah.
because that's where it is because the more we learn to accept ourselves and love ourselves and be comfortable in our own skins, the more it actually doesn't matter what other people think.
Exactly. Most definitely.
Yeah, so that's what the journey for me is about, is learning to understand myself better. So I think with this
Mm,
new journey that's developing for me in this well-being arena. Not only hopefully will it help a lot of people to help themselves, but I will undoubtedly learn more about myself on the way as well.
Mm. Have you got a Facebook page or a website or anything set
For
up
this,
yet? Or not?
this is really it's like
No.
been in the last week that this has all come to fruition. So no, so there's a bit of perfection paralysis about thinking, what can I call it? What can I call it? I don't want to create a page and it be the wrong
Yeah.
thing and all those things going on. So there's nothing out there at the moment, but I have my Karen Kodish photography Facebook page. I'm everywhere on social media with my photography, which is, if you just search for Kodish photos or Karen Kodish photography, and Kodish is with the K, Kodish, and you'll find me. Come chat, come talk to me. So because I will no doubt, once I have a new page for this new journey, I will be advertising it through my photography outlets. So my
And
photography presence.
you can always send me the link and I can put it onto the show notes as well.
Marvelous,
On the
yes,
bottom end of our little
brilliant,
episode as well. And on my Facebook page and on my Instagram for you. So
wonderful,
there you go.
wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
It's all getting exciting. 2021 is going to be so fabulous for us. That's what I'm gonna
Absolutely.
say.
All I'm thinking about is the next 4 weeks. Trying to stay
Yeah.
as present as possible into enjoying I'm doing the rabbit fingers thing, enjoying my holiday
Mm.
to do all the things I really want to do with this new venture and with my flat. I want to declutter more, and it's a great opportunity to
It sure
to
is. It's
take
quite
the
cathartic as
yeah,
well.
I had a major declutter about a year and a half ago. Major. I was serious hoarder person. I had boxes stacked up in the bedroom from a move I'd done 14 years prior, and those boxes had never been opened and things like that. So about 80%, I'd say, about 80 to 85% of the declutter has happened. But I'm now at the stage where I want to take it to the next level. I want to get it because the typical ADHD, you do a big bulk of the job, but it gets to a certain point where it's like, no, I've had enough now, that's it. And there's still straggling bits that can be done to actually complete that task, properly. My coach,
Most definitely.
yeah,
Most
so it's
definitely.
the task completion thing, and my coach has coined this. I'm not sure if she's coined it, but within the group coaching that we did in one of our final session we had, she talks about closing the loops. So closing the
Mm.
circles on all those things that are nearly done, but not
Mm.
quite complete. And so, decluttering, whilst I may not get it complete in the next 4 weeks, I want to be further down the line with it. Yeah, that's been another major part of my well-being journey, has been the decluttering, because not only is it physical decluttering, obviously it's
It's
emotional and
yeah,
mental
yeah.
decluttering as well. It just transforms so much.
See, everything you said, I'm like, yes, I've got to get in the garage. I've got boxes in there when I moved zillions of years ago. My
Uh-huh.
loft's full. This is full. And I'm like, yeah, I need to do that as well.
Yes,
Right, you
I,
spurred
I
me on.
I
Stick that
actually
on the
love it.
list.
Say that again.
I said, I need to stick that on my list to do as well.
Always good to have the list, isn't it?
I've got a list in every notebook that I've tidied up. I can't find. So now I've got to do another one.
Ah,
So that's not good. I'm like, where's my list? Which notebook? Did I put me proper list in? The list that I need to do, not the list that I put a list on about the list to find the list.
I
So yeah.
find I think me being autistic as well is really useful because my home is ordered, everything in its place and a place for everything. So I'm not typical ADHD that I don't know where anything. I know where everything is, and so I suppose being autistic has actually helped me find strategies to deal with some of the ADHD traits. And so I've got a particular corner where all my notebooks are, for example. I've got a place where my car keys get put away every day and that sort of thing. So, and I go into a panic if I go to get something and it's not there. I'm like, what? How come it's not there? That's where it lives. And I start to go into a mini meltdown because what's going on here? This isn't right. How have I not put that back there? So,
I did that the other day with my car keys. It was on the side, which I normally put it, and then I must have had a tidy up mode. And I was like, where have I put them? What have I done with them? They were
right,
only moved slightly over, but I couldn't really see them
right,
because they
because of
weren't in that specific.
familiarity. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, it's not in that space. But I'm a bit of a crazy, chaotic, a bit of a do we have to tidy up today sort of thing.
Right.
Everything's got a place in my chaos. But if anyone moves it out my big mess, even though I know where everything is, so be it.
Yeah.
It'll be like a big messy bit in the corner, but I know where everything is because
Mhm.
I can see it.
Mhm.
Anyone properly tidies it up, the minimalism style, even though I love that style. Nah, it's not happening.
Yeah. I've gone
But hey ho.
from Yeah, I've gone from that person living in chaos pretty much my whole adult life since I've lived alone, since I left home, um, to becoming the neat freak that I actually always knew I was.
Yeah.
I always knew I was because whenever I stayed anywhere else or was at a hotel or other people's places, I was always neat and tidy. Always. But at home it was a different matter. So I'm really enjoying living. Look, it's not a show home. I'm not one of these people who needs
Yeah.
it to be a show home, but it needs to be neat. It needs to be tidy. So this is why the next stage of decluttering is going to happen because there's just a couple of boxes over there that I don't want over there anymore. And I've purposely left them out because I knew that eventually I would get so sick and tired
Yeah.
of seeing them there that it would create chaos in my head, those two boxes, that I would have to do something about them. And it
Mm.
works. You find little tricks to trick yourself
Yeah.
into doing
Yeah.
things.
Like I must get up out of bed. I've got to. But it's so nice and warm and snuggly. But anyway, that's a different story.
Do you know what things help you with sort of strategy wise?
Uh, no, at the minute, I'm just bumbling through life. But I suppose I have got strategies because I've got my notebooks and what else do I do? No, at the top of my head, I can't think. It probably come to me when I'm shopping or taking the dog for a walk.
Yeah, sort of 3
And
hours
I'll
later.
probably go,
Ah, I could have said
that's
that.
what it is. Yeah. Oh,
It's
yeah.
like the shower aha moment. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Always in the shower, you go, "Ah, could do that."
It's that, yeah. I've had a journey of self-discovery similar to yours, but I was determined. I was going to university, which I did, because all them people said, "No, you
Fantastic.
can't. You've done this, you've done that." And then from there, I've done nothing but do more courses. So now I'm trying to investigate why. I've got qualifications coming out my ears that to me that are just a piece of paper to
Mhm.
prove that I know what I'm talking about. And I don't hold that much value to them. Is it the struggle at the start of a course that I don't know anything about? The journey, going through the course? I don't know.
What was your school life like?
School life was pretty boring, really.
Academically, how did you fare?
Below average,
Right.
but bobbed along, if you know what I mean.
Could it be that you're doing all this now because you perhaps want to prove to yourself that actually you are capable, where
Probably.
possibly
Mm.
it was more of a struggle back in school? Because I can certainly
Possibly.
relate to didn't do very well, just bumbled along at school, and that was very much apart from music and French. They're my two B grades. They were my two favourite subjects. But even with those, probably the reason I didn't get A's is because I struggled with the theory side of things.
Yeah.
The practical aspects. I was very good at speaking French and understanding and listening, but with the writing and the grammar, not so good. And with music, with the music theory, not so good, even though it was my favourite thing in the world. So,
or could it be I'm trying to prove to somebody, I don't know who, or I haven't found out who, that I can do it?
well, I think
Could be.
that's quite plausible as well, because you have said a couple of times on in this chat that because people have said, "Oh, you can't do that."
Yeah.
So that could be sort of the ODD kicking in.
Yeah.
Well, I'll show you.
Yeah. Some subconscious thinking coming on there. It's probably me, Mum. Probably. Sorry, Mum, if you're listening to this. It's probably you. She's quite negative.
Right.
So it could be her. Could
You
be
you
something
you
in my childhood, so hey ho.
it usually is a figure of not so much authority, but a figure in one's life to whom one looks up to and values their opinion. That when they say something, that it can stick.
Yeah.
There's an interesting. It's made me think of. Have you heard of Mel Robbins, the coach Mel Robbins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she resonates quite a lot for me. And actually, she was diagnosed ADHD at the age of 47, and she's also dyslexic. And one of her, I don't know if it's one or two or three of her kids are dyslexic as well. She's got this. For anyone who's got an Audible account, there's they've got a series of Audible podcast type series of things. I can't remember what they're called. The name escapes me, funnily enough. But anyway, Mel Robbins has got one on there called Start Here. And there is... Oh, wait, is it on the Start Here? No, it's not on the Start Here. It's in one of her books called Take Control of Your Life. I listen to books. Surprise, struggle with staying focused on a book, so I just don't bother trying anymore. So yes, it's called Take Control of Your Life, and the audiobook version, you actually get to hear. She has coaching sessions with different people, and you get to hear the abridged version of each coaching session. And there is one coaching session in there which turns out to be about someone not achieving things because they've been told that they'll never achieve that or something. So I'd highly recommend you have a listen. If you don't have Audible, other audiobook services are available, folks. But and with all these other services as well as with Audible, when you sign up, you get your first book free. And then if you don't want to continue, you can cancel the account but still keep the book. So
fabulous. We'll stick a link at the bottom And our show notes.
Yeah, that's a book I would recommend. I mean, I like all of her stuff, but this Take Control of Your Life one is very, very good. And another favorite of mine, it was my book of the year last year. It's a book called Atomic Habits, and the author is James Clear. And it's kind of my inspiration for where I want to go with my new journey. Really, the essential premise is, by taking the smallest of steps, but taking that small step consistently over an extended period of time, you're more likely to effect massive change at the end of what it is you want to do. So
Totally agree with that.
yeah, and I love that. And I've realized in the last few weeks that that's been my life. That's been a lot of my well-being journey. Is I've implemented tiny changes without even realizing it, really. I've implemented tiny changes, and now here I am. And I look back and I go, wow. Like with my nutrition, the first thing I did was cut out the I started with cutting out chocolate, and then from there it went to biscuits and cakes, and then from there it went on to things like pasta, and then potatoes and rice, and bread was the last thing to go. That was the difficult one. But it was a slow, steady progression, to the point now that if I actually ate any of those things, I would literally feel physically ill or mentally ill.
Oh,
Yeah, apart from bread, I can get away with bread every now and then. But yeah. So Atomic Habits is another book I absolutely rave about. And yeah, and my inspiration for wanting to help people start these journeys with tiny little steps towards what it is they want to achieve. The goal could be something like, I want to drink 2 liters of water every day. So I would say, okay, we're trying to do that every day right at the start. That's potentially not something that's going to work. Talking of which, excuse me, I need a drink. But perhaps we could start with having a glass of water out on the table so you'd see it every day. Or buying a nice bottle. I like filter bottles, because I'm a bit of a clean eating person, so I like to know that my water is filtered. So perhaps that could be the first step, and that's it. So you're not even actually starting with the drinking water, but you're just it's all about laying strong foundations. You lay the strong foundations, you give yourself a much better chance of success than it's like, if you want to run a marathon, you don't go and try and run the marathon on day
straight
one, do
away.
you?
No.
Because it's highly unlikely to happen unless you're already fit. But, so if you really struggle with drinking 2 liters of water a day, just going straight into trying to drink 2 liters of water a day is potentially insurmountable, because it's too big a task. Let's really take it by baby steps. Let's just get a glass out of the cupboard and buy this bottle, or buy, some people do buy a bottle that's a big enough bottle of how much it is they want to drink in a day. So their goal is to finish that one bottle. Everyone will find their own different ways of doing it. There's, it's, despite my autistic tendencies, that there's only one way to do things, and if someone does it a different way, it's not the right way, even though it's perfectly valid. But that's just me being autistic. I absolutely understand that there are multiple ways of getting to the same point, multiple valid ways of getting to the same point.
Exactly. Most definitely.
And that's kind of where I think I want to go with my journey into helping other people. So it takes and studies show, I believe, it takes on average about 66 days to develop a new habit. So the old one was it takes 3 weeks, but it's been shown it's way longer than that. So my thinking is that I would invite people who want to change something to eventually, when I have got a structure, come work with me. You know, I'll be there to help you. I'm not there to coach you. I'm not there to advise you. I'm there to support you and signpost you and encourage you to do the thing it is that you want to do.
Exactly.
You know?
You can't spoon feed everybody. They need to do
no, but no. I mean, and if someone is not, you know, is not doing the thing that it is that they want to do, you know, my question would then be, well, do you really want to do this?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just going to continue trying to help someone who actually doesn't want to do that thing. So it's a two-way thing, you know. So we'll see how, you know, it's exciting. I'm very excited for the future of this because I believe I've got enough of an experience with my own life, especially since the heart attack. So 8 years, coming up for 8 years. I think I've got enough experience of being immersed in my own personal development and the well-being world to be able to pay it forward now and hopefully help support others to achieve what they want to achieve. Be it I was going to say, oh, squirrel, but seriously, but seriously, there is a squirrel running out in the garden at the moment. It's one of our local two. That's hilarious.
It is. So on that note, I thank you for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure, Karen.